federal government has committed, as Madame de Brusen said, almost $1 billion in the latest budget in order to install 50 public chargers on top of another 50,000 public chargers plus 35,000 public chargers by 2027. Thanks to Minister Jonathan Wilkinson and its team. Canada will indeed need to support more EV charger deployment, but keep in mind that more and more provincial and municipal governments, plus private companies, are joining the movement, many of them being EMC members. Key number 4, education and training. This one remains a challenge, but with the help of new federal awareness programs coming our way for light, medium, and heavy-duty vehicles, I'm confident that Canadian consumers and Canadian workers will embrace the transition. After all, Cara and I cannot do all the work by ourselves. And finally, last but not least, today's announcement, regulation. While some people may say that we don't need regulation such as the one that's being presented today, history has taught us otherwise. That's why I'm proud to be here and show EMC's support behind this announcement. As Cara said earlier, we have to make sure that Canadians have much easier access to EVs without having to wait anywhere between 3 months to 3 years, and this regulation will help resolve that issue. This regulation, as Madame de Brusen said, will also help create market predictability. As Charles Todd, CIB's Managing Director of Investments, said during our annual conference in Toronto, ZEV sale regulation will help them and the whole industry have easier access to financing for EV-related projects. In an uncertain world like the one we live in these days, market predictability becomes an even more prized commodity. And last but not least, this regulation will help Canada reach its climate targets. The government is doing this not because it's easy. We tried easy, didn't work. We tried voluntary, didn't work either. The government is doing this, like JFK once said, because it's hard and yet absolutely necessary. Keep in mind that the climate crisis is the most fundamental reason why we are here. We cannot in good conscience pretend that the status quo is acceptable if we want to look at our children and grandchildren in the eyes. We owe it to them to act responsibly, and this new ZEV sale regulation is the responsible way to move forward. And for this new ZEV sale regulation, I want to personally thank Environment and Climate Change Minister Steven Guilbeault and his team. I have to mention Mrs. de Brusen. In her involvement in making this announcement a reality, because I know how involved you've been, and so has Mr. Sabara. I know how hard she has worked and he has worked to support this, and I sincerely want to thank her and him for all this work. Je sais très bien que le changement peut être épeurant, mais plutôt que de laisser la peur nous guider, voire nous paralyser, nous devons la confronter en agissant de manière constructive. Or, en matière d'électrification des transports, c'est exactement ce que ce gouvernement a fait. Il a agi de manière responsable, à la fois pragmatique et audacieuse. Et c'est pourquoi toute l'équipe de Mobilité électrique Canada sera présente pour l'épauler dans les consultations entourant ce projet de règlement qui fera du Canada un leader nord-américain. Merci. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Berton. Thank you. Electric Mobility Canada have been strong advocates for the transition to cleaner transportation, and I thank you for being here today. That concludes the formal portion of today's presentation. I believe there'll be a Q&A led by Olivier after this. I just wish to say, in concluding the remarks, I just do wish to thank PS de Brusen for mentioning the events that have happened in the city of Vaughan in the last couple of days. Obviously, our community is shocked, and our hearts and our thoughts, especially at this time of year, there's really no good time of year, are with the families that have been impacted by the shooting that occurred on Sunday evening. But turning to today's announcement, as the chair of the Auto Caucus on Parliament Hill, and having worked closely with Julie, PS de Brusen, and many stakeholders and many of my colleagues, including MP Van Beining, the opportunity that awaits us and that we've grabbed a hold of here in Canada and in the United States for the transition from from one type of vehicle to electric vehicles is just enormous. And when we really step back and think about the job opportunities, the innovation that is currently occurring, it's very exciting. So this is generational. And we need to lead, and that is what the government of Canada is doing today. It is leading, obviously consulting and listening to industry stakeholders and participants, but we need to lead, and this is the direction we need to go in as a country. It's great to be here to make this announcement. Thank you for coming up, Tavon, everyone, for being here. It is a wonderful entrepreneurial community, and that lends well to innovation and what is going on in this space here within the auto industry. And I look forward to the product cadence that's going to come forward in the coming years with all the vehicles that will be lower emission vehicles, ZED, hybrids, and so forth. It's very exciting. So I'll conclude my remarks there. And thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you to all the speakers. We're just going to pass to a period of question and answer for the media in the room first, and then we'll move to the hybrid. The virtual participants. So, on va juste passer maintenant à une période de questions et réponses pour les gens dans la salle ici, mais après ça, on va tourner vers nos collègues virtuels pour gérer ça virtuellement. Alors, are there any questions from any of the reporters in the room before we turn to virtual?